We are still in early access for the auto rental system, so you have to go to our Discord channel on PeakMonsters, Peak Projects, and ask, sign up for premium, then ask for early access. And when you do, you'll have premium here. Each time you do one of these steps, you need to log out, like refresh and log back in. So, anyways, when you are able to do auto rental price adjuster, ARPA, this is what your settings will look like. And we're still figuring out the best settings to do as a default. It looks like that have it set on this account for 2,091 cards. I'm going to check every 12 hours because I just don't need to check that often. I'm trying to set it to 80th, but I don't want to cancel on users too frequently. So I have a 50% kind of a threshold. So if the price goes below the 80th percentile, every 12 hours we'll check. If it goes below the 80th percentile by 50%, so it's not even close to the 80th percentile. Even if it goes below by 49%, I still won't cancel the rental and reprice it. But if it goes below by 51%, then I will set the new price to 80th percentile minus 1%. I just changed this. This minus 1% just means everyone else that's setting it to the 80th percentile, I'm going to be ever so slightly better price and get my cards a little bit better. All right. So what about those cards that every 12 hours we check and they're not being rented? Well, if they haven't been rented for 24 hours, that means the 80th percentile is probably not too interesting to them. So I'm going to price it at the 50th percentile. Or I could price it as a low price if it's not getting rented. Okay. So I think that's one option, is to set it to low price. I'm not sure. All I've really done is change it to check every 12 hours instead of every 6 hours. In fact, 1 hour is just overkills, because what's happening here, and this is just in early access, is that I've done, oh, okay, well, the month is only a few days old, and I've already done 4,200 repricings on my 2,000 cards because it was just recently the end of the season. So probably the price, well, how long ago was the end of the season? It was recently. So within the last 4 days, prices have been going down and then up, and we're several days into the new season. So let's take a look here. So it's going to go ahead and reprice things, but I have a very large leniency. One thing that you could do, I mean, you could set this, forget this, the pricing coming in. I have a low return on asset because I have quite a few not rented right now, but also because I have um, over half of my value in these gold cards are in alpha golds. So this is all gold account. So half of the value is in golds. I mean, half of the values is in alpha, which is a pretty bad year return on asset right now because the asset appreciated so much. It's not it's not a bad return on investment, what I originally invested, but it's the present return on asset that isn't so great. You can see that it gets better, a little bit better with beta. Not so great on promo, but really quite decent on reward cards. Now, I think the part of it is, let's check on just the 4 rents, and still not amazing. But gold cards, when were gold card return on assets ever necessarily that great? Well, I guess when you do Chaos Legion, they're pretty good. But even Rift Watcher's down a little bit. Dice is at 3. Untame is at 5 for me. Now, one thing you can intervene, if you could set it, forget it. It's going to do its process all the time. It's only going to impact those cards that are presently being rented. Oh, and I'm actually looking at cards that I am renting. So one thing to do, because when I want to play, I just go ahead and rent cards for 2 days and play my guild brawl, and then come back later and rent for 2 more days. When I play another guild brawl, and I rent out my cards, and I just rent when I need to from other people. So most of the time. Let's take a look though. All right, so for rent, owned, and I mean, it goes up a little bit better, 2.9. Let's take a look here at, we're going to compare against the 50th, okay? We're going to compare against the 50th. It's loading. So I could come in here and make some adjustments. So I'm aiming for the 80th. And then let's take a look at this. And let's go here. Oh, these are the ones that are way above the 80th percentile. The Scavo, I'm basically getting a 97%. So these are all the ones that are above the 80th. So this one is below the 80th, but just it is above the 66th, because if it says below 80th, that means it's below 80th and above 66. Otherwise, it would say something different. All right, so I'm getting 16 times better return uh, than than what is presently than the 50th percentile, I should say. All right, this is where we want to go the other direction, and we would expect to see a lot of cancels, right? A lot of rental cancellations because of the auto repricer. So all these ones are getting repriced. They just have to wait like a day, um, 6 hours and 18 minutes. It's getting its new price, and it will probably be go from 3 all the way to 9. So things just change there. What you could do is grab some of these cards that aren't being. I like any of these ones that are below the 25th, because sometimes the pricing is between the percentiles isn't very big because there's not too many of these cards being rented out, and therefore, or yeah, something to that effect. All right, I'll just keep continuing. Too complicated to go over that. So I'm going to grab some of these ones that aren't being canceled by the system, and I could come in here and manually do it. So a lot of people are like, well, I could get better pricing than the auto rental, and that's fine. Yes, an individual with infinite amount of time could certainly get a lot. So look at all these ones that aren't being canceled. That means that this price, the 85th percentile, or sorry, 80th percentile, this price is probably not half of the 80th percentile, so it's not being canceled or hasn't been canceled yet. I mean, that is literally something you could do, is look at the 80th percentile. There we go. Let's go the other direction. All these cancellations. All these cancellations, and this one hasn't been seen yet, but it will likely be. I don't know if I want to cancel because these alphas. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. Um, uh, so even though even though I am 2.9 times lower than the 80th, this card still isn't being rented. That's crazy. So just goes to tell you that sometimes a lot of these cards hit the market and still aren't. Look at this parasitic growth. Why would this one get rented? I'm sure it will be soon. I'm just going to leave those. It's 3 times lower than the 80th, but still above the 33rd. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to go down to maybe some more obvious ones, and all these ones are getting repriced. We are going to reprice these ones because the price is off by quite a bit, a little bit more than double. So so it's close to. I wouldn't expect to see any of these really canceled when we get below the 2 mark. So if we scroll down a bit, you're going to start seeing a lot less canceled around the 2 mark. And all right, none of these canceled. Well, this was at some point above a 2x, and so therefore got repriced during that time. Now, if it were to look at this moment, it wouldn't reprice it because it's not at that 50% below. Or, like this 6.8 is not half. 6.845 is not is more than half of 13.3. So that's the issue right there. So all right, so it's taking care of a lot of these. I was just showing you the 80th percentile, but what I'm what I was originally interested in, I mean, I would actually love to see in this case, the 25th percentile. I just don't want my cards to go below the 25th percentile. So look at all these ones that aren't being canceled and are below the 25th percentile. So that's one thing that I would consider. And these ones are already being repriced. I mean, I suppose I could try to reprice them at this point. All right. So let's just do it real fast and change price. And let's go for the 80th percentile. There we go. Let me show you that again. Let's see where it starts. So we're going to go to change price. We're going to look at the bottom, 215. So we basically doubled our price, a little over double on all those cards. So that's what I would say if I were wanting to spend the time to manually reprice is to go through and check those. So let's see. These are all the ones that are canceled, so we may need a not canceled filter. I actually will stop the video right now and make a request for a not canceled filter. All right. But anyways, that's how ARPA is kind of working, and if you want to have a manual influence on them. But I mean, I don't actually suggest. I think these things are fine. I may just want to change my settings a little bit or something like that on the configuration. I'm pretty lenient. I'm not looking to extract everything out of these cards. I'm fine with just kind of helping the users, but I'm also not wanting my cards really below the 25th. So there you go. All right. Thanks. Bye. Bye bye.